Hello everybody, and welcome back to another civilization strategy guide. In this video, we will analyze an often underrated civilization, the Byzantines. Now many players would call the Byzantines a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none civilization. However, as we will see in this video, even though the Byzantines have plenty of tricks up their sleeve, they can still excel at many strategies that are less well known than your standard archer or knight rush. After taking a quick look at the Byzantine bonuses, we will examine some of these strategies, assess their strengths and weaknesses, and assign grades to rate their strength on a few common maps. Let's get started. The Byzantines overall are a fairly diverse civilization and specialize at defending and producing counters to opponents' army composition. Throughout the game, the Byzantines benefit from increased hit points on their buildings, which makes it easier to wall and defend or maintain key defensive structures such as castles. Free Town Watch helps support this playstyle by allowing Byzantines players to see opposing armies sooner and defend or retreat sooner. The Byzantines' cheaper advance to the Imperial Age can also help them defend with trebuchets or push out with an Imperial upgraded army. The Byzantines' army is very diverse and can rely on archers, knights, or gunpowder, with common use of skirmishers, pikemen, and camels, since they are 25% cheaper for the civilization. The Byzantines' army may also benefit from monks, which receive full upgrades and heal 50% faster. The Byzantines' unique unit is the cataphract, which acts as an anti-infantry cavalry which exhibits resistance to pikemen and camels. On water, Byzantine fire ships may attack faster, and in the DLC, they also have more range with the Byzantines' unique tech, Greek Fire. Now that we have overviewed the Byzantine bonuses, let's go age by age and discuss some strategies for how to play the Byzantines in competitive multiplayer. We will begin on open maps like Arabia, and later discuss Arena, Black Forest, water maps, and team games. On Arabia, there are two main opening strategies for the Byzantines: the Dark Age Rush Feudal Rush, abbreviated Drush Flush, and the Skirmisher Spearman Forward, abbreviated Forward. The more common of these strategies is the Drush Flush. This strategy works best when gold is safe and towards the back of the base, and resources are somewhat defensible early on. The Drush Flush requires building an early barracks and building 3 militia to harass opponents' villagers, then transitioning into 2 archery ranges to build archers or skirmishers. Players performing the Drush Flush should put 4 on wood early, mine 10 gold, and heavily saturate sheep to get up to the next age. Once clicked up, they should build a second lumber camp and mine gold if planning on producing archers. It is the Byzantine player's choice how many archers or skirmishers to produce, and players should adjust the amount of gold they take accordingly. If going against an archer-reliant civilization, like the Britons, it may be to the Byzantine player's best interest to focus more heavily on skirmishers. The benefit of this strategy is for every skirmisher made, resources are saved. However, over-reliance on skirmishers may reduce the damage potential of the army during raids, or leave the Byzantine player vulnerable to a scout or knight transition. If your opponent is producing scouts, it would be to the Byzantines player's advantage to make a few of their cheaper spearmen. Just bear in mind, if your opponent is also producing archers, spearmen may no longer stay alive long enough to effectively counter scouts. The second, more unorthodox strategy available to the Byzantines is the Spear Skirmisher Forward. This strategy involves building a barracks and 2 archery ranges next to the opponent to idle the opponent's villagers and prevent them from taking critical resources. This strategy works best when the opponent's wood, gold, or stones are forward, or there's an abusable hill to place your military buildings on. You may also consider the strategy if your resources are too exposed to attempt a drush flush. Players performing the Spear Skirmisher forward should place 4 villagers on wood early, heavily saturate sheep to click up to the Feudal Age on 22 population, and send 4 villagers forward. The barracks should be built before hitting Feudal Age, and both ranges should be placed upon advancement. While the Skirmisher Spearman army harasses the opponent's villagers, the 4 forward villagers should build houses, a tower, a stone camp, wall resources, or participate in combat. What makes this strategy so strong for the Byzantines is that the best defense against a forward for your opponent involves spearmen and skirmishers of their own, and the Byzantines simply do this better. However, Byzantine players should not attempt this strategy if their opponent drushes, since the militia will battle the forward villagers before buildings are placed. The main strength of the Byzantine early game is the resources saved on skirmisher and spearman production. However, there are 2 obvious weaknesses to the Byzantine early game. First, the Byzantines do not get bloodlines, and therefore do not have an effective scout rush. This hurts most on maps where resources are too forward to safely execute a drush flush, and where a forward may not be effective. The second weakness to the Byzantine early game is that they lack an economy bonus. Since most civilizations get an economy bonus in some capacity, this means the Byzantines will have less resources to play with if not making spearmen or skirmishers. Due to their strengths and weaknesses in the early game, on a scale of A to C, A being above average and C being below average, I award the Byzantines with an average B rating for early game on open maps. As a Byzantine player advances up to the Castle Age, they should begin to think about what army should be upgraded from the Feudal Age, or if a transition should be made. Archers should always be upgraded to crossbow if more than a few have been made. Skirmishers should be upgraded to elite only if they may be of use against enemy archers or as raiders. When evaluating whether to upgrade skirmishers, it is important to bear in mind that the elite skirmisher upgrade is a significant investment in Age of Conquerors, but has been reduced in the DLC. Spearmen should only be upgraded to pikemen if more than 10 are made and your opponent is making knights. A transition to knights may be relevant if your opponent has made too many skirmishers and has not mixed in enough crossbows or pikemen. Bear in mind, however, with advancement to the Castle Age, a Byzantine player has unlocked 2 additional counters to knights in the camel and monk. Byzantine camels may benefit from a reduced cost, while monks may benefit from a faster healing rate. The viability of these 2 units, in conjunction with the skirmisher and pikemen, make the Byzantine Castle Age one of the most diverse in the game. With all these options, how does one choose the appropriate army composition while resisting the urge to upgrade every unit? If playing aggressive, the answer is simple. Crossbows will have the highest damage potential. If playing defensive, choose an army composition that requires the least amount of investment. For example, if playing against knights, it is easier to build a monastery and a few monks than it is to build a stable and camels. 1 monk may counter 2 knights with good micromanagement and only cost gold, while 1 camel can counter 1 knight and cost food, which is harder to sustain, especially when trying to boom. When playing against crossbow, a siege workshop and mangonel will cost less than trying to upgrade skirmishers from scratch. If skirmishers have already been partially upgraded, then it may cost less to upgrade them fully than building a siege workshop. Only build and upgrade what you need. React, but do not overreact. This is the Byzantine way. Before we assign a grade and move on up to the Imperial Age, I want to revisit the Byzantine forward feudal strategy. If all has gone according to plan in the Feudal Age, this should be a great opportunity to close out the game with a siege workshop and mangonels or rams. Upgrade your spears and skirmishers and continue full production, or switch into monks if there is no army left to upgrade. This can close out the game in a hurry. For an overall diversity of army choices, despite a lack of bloodlines or economy bonuses, I award the Byzantines an average B for mid-game. Now let's head on up to the Imperial Age. Due to a 33% reduced cost on the Imperial Age technology, Byzantine players should be up in a good time. Chemistry should be researched immediately for arbalests, skirmishers, or hand cannons. These can be supported with halbs or camels, and siege rams or bombard cannons for a balanced army composition. The Byzantine players should focus on destroying key defensive positions with siege, such as opponents' castles and town centers, while building castles in key defensive locations and obtaining map control and access to extra gold and stone. If the game makes it to the stage where there is no gold left on the map, then the Byzantine players should win through cheaper trash, and their defensive playstyle has paid off. A word of caution to Byzantine players in 1 vs 1. I personally would not recommend building cataphracts under almost any circumstance. In order to successfully wield a cataphract army, a Byzantine player must mine at least 1300 stone for 2 castles, and save up 1600 food and 800 gold for the elite upgrade. This does not include the blacksmith upgrades or the unique tech Logistica. Because the investment cost is so high, and the Imperial Age upgrade is cheaper, I would recommend using hand cannons as counter infantry instead of the cataphract. Although very difficult to find a true counter to the Byzantines, some civilizations to consider may have a strong drush to pressure the Byzantines early, a strong military or eco bonus, or a unit such as the Eagle Warrior to take advantage of the Byzantines' lack of strong cavalry. I believe the Aztecs, Incas, and Malians may be sufficient counters. For a quick advance and hardy defenses, and for a late-game army that is diverse and can excel when gold has run out, I give the Byzantines a B+ for late game. This leaves the Byzantines with a solid B rating for 1 vs 1 on open maps. Now let's get a more comprehensive picture of the Byzantines on 3 other maps. On Arena, the Byzantines go from a jack-of-all-trades civilization to a force to be reckoned with. This is due largely to the strength of their monks. Access to all necessary monk technologies enables the Byzantines to have a deadly smush, converting opposing army, monks, and siege. A quick advance to the Imperial Age can further bolster their monks by allowing quick access to block printing, illumination, and theocracy, in addition to bombard cannon. To perform an all-out smush, Byzantine players should build 2 monasteries as soon as hitting the Castle Age, then build a siege workshop and 3rd monastery. Byzantine players should not add additional town centers if going for a fast Imperial Age. For additional advice regarding the smush, check out a coaching session involving the strategy by clicking the link on the top right or in the description. For a strong smush and versatile late-game army, I give the Byzantines an A- on Arena. Now on to the late-game map, Black Forest. On Black Forest, civilizations are encouraged to make their strongest armies regardless of the upgrade cost. This presents a situation where the cataphract may be a strong option. Although not as error-resistant as the paladin, the cataphract shreds through infantry and boasts higher overall attack when the extra 5 splash damage of Logistica is taken into account. Access to Bombard Tower and Bombard Cannon can also help pushing and holding ground. Despite these strengths, the Byzantine siege is mediocre since they lack siege onager, siege engineers, and heavy scorpion. And although strong, cataphracts can be matched by paladins or countered with a strong archer unique unit. Because of these strengths and weaknesses, I award the Byzantines with a B on late game maps like Black Forest. The last maps we will talk about are water maps. For standard AOC galley battles, the Byzantines have all the necessary technologies, including bracer and shipwright. Unfortunately, since fire ships see little use in AOC, the Byzantine faster attack speed doesn't tend to have an impact on most games. The one situation this bonus may come into play is if a Byzantine player is faster into the Castle Age and would like to regain water control with fireships. However, if playing on the DLC, fireships are much more prominently used, and the Byzantines gain access to their new unique technology, Greek Fire, which gives fireships an additional 1 range. I believe these factors push the Byzantines into the top tier of water civilizations on the DLC. Because AOC and the DLC metas are so different, I will award separate grades for each game. On AOC, for a fairly mediocre galley line, I award a B-, and on the DLC, for a spectacular fireships, I award an A-. Now let's finish up by analyzing the Byzantines in large team games. As flanks in team games, Byzantine players are expected to drush flush or drush fast castle if possible. Later in the game, Byzantine players should upgrade to Arbalest and add Bombard Cannon and Bombard Tower. They can then transition to Cataphracts or Paladins if needed. Since Byzantine players are discouraged from making pikemen or skirmishers in team games, this knocks them down a bit in strength. As pockets in team games, the Byzantines can benefit from cheaper camels, although their knights are substandard without bloodlines. The Byzantines can also benefit from a faster Imperial Age, which may lead to a faster Paladin upgrade. However, in Imperial Age, the Byzantines also lack Blast Furnace for +2 attack. Overall, as a flank that is not able to make full use out of their versatility, I award the Byzantines with a B-. As a pocket that can hold their own, but does not particularly excel, I also award them with a B-. For my overall ranking of the civilization, I have assigned weighted values to each game mode based off my perceived popularity of these game modes. After combining their individual rankings, I award the Byzantines with a B overall rating. To sum up, the Byzantines definitely stand up to their reputation as a jack-of-all-trades civilization. However, they may excel on certain maps with certain strategies. Their trash is undeniably some of the best in the game, and if there is a unit you need in a particular situation, you can bet that the Byzantines have it. That's going to be all for this strategy guide. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment on what some of your favorite strategies are with the Byzantines, or if I missed any strategies. It really helps the channel grow. Also, check out my other strategy guides, or coaching sessions, community games, or expert game commentaries. Can't wait to see you in the next video.